Roman Wilson blew up the Senior Bowl last week in the practices. He made highlight reel catch after highlight reel catch while also breaking down multiple defensive backs day after day. One of the hot names from the Senior Bowl. We're going to be looking at his Dynasty fantasy football portfolio, his value, and how we should be looking at him as a long-term asset for fantasy football. Before we do that, you need to click that subscribe button because we're going to be looking at these rookies hot and heavy throughout the draft season. We're going to help you with your Dynasty fantasy football rookie drafts. We're looking at mock drafts. We're doing mock drafts. And overall, you're going to know your player values. Click that button. Stop missing out. But backtracking to his high school years as a recruit, he wasn't highly ranked, but it looked like in the process, 24/7 Sports catapulted him up the rankings to 38th overall in the rankings while he was ranked 60th among wide receivers in their composite rankings. 6 foot 175, 4-star prospect. Also looking at the offers here, just a quick look. Didn't really get that many. 13 offers locked in with Michigan. Power 5 schools were after him, but the big thing you want to look at here is his verified times here. 4.37 40-yard dash. That's cooking, especially at the high school level where high school kids are not really posting top tier 40 times. You'll see them run a good 100 time in the 10s, but in the 40s, you're not seeing that. Especially nowadays, you're not getting many verified 40-time results. At 4.37, that is cooking at that age. Also, look at the verticals there at 36.9 and 39. He's explosive. The vertical lets you know that he's a very explosive athlete. Top tier vertical, top tier 40. Should have got him higher noted in the recruiting process because of that upside, because of the juice in the legs. That being said, when we got to his college days, wasn't super productive. You could say that he's playing for Michigan. Nico Collins played for Michigan, and he became a good prospect. And Harbaugh's not great with the wide receivers, the passing game, the low volume in the offense, all that stuff. But when we look at the stats here, 122 yards as a freshman, 420 as a sophomore, 376 as a junior. This year was his best year. 789 yards, 12 touchdowns, 48 receptions. So you can look at this two different ways here. You can look at this as, hey, this is the Michigan offense. This is what these wide receivers do. You really got to check the tape. Or you can look at the numbers and say, hey, we got some red flags here. I don't want to lean into this too much. I know I see him at the Senior Bowl doing some things, but I look at the numbers here and it's kind of scary. Looking at his game logs, and I got this sorted out by 100-yard games or his best yardage games per se. 143 yards against Purdue, 104 yards against Texas Christian. Those are his only 100-yard games on his career. These are all of his games of over 50 yards. Part of this is the offense. That is true. But also the dominance in the offense, you also want to think about that. We'll talk about that going forward. But we got 89 yards against Nevada, 82 yards against Iowa, 81 against Wisconsin. We got a 9-catch game, a couple 6-catch games, a lot of 2 and 3-catch games. So again, we are productive, and it is good at the college level, but forecasting out for top-tier results for fantasy football, top 24 wide receiver, top 12 wide receiver, the odds are kind of stacked against him statistically, especially when you look at the market share production. He did not break out till age 22. That is a red flag, and breakout age is a prerequisite. It doesn't mean that you're going to hit it, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to hit it as well. You can be an older prospect. You can also be a guy without a breakout age and still hit at the NFL level. But the odds is what we're looking at. The odds are a lot more significant either way. If you have an early breakout age 18, age 19, the odds tend to be much better. However, if you got a late breakout age or no breakout age at all, the odds start to stack up. That doesn't mean he can't. And we're going to go into why he can here in a little bit. But right now, when we look at these numbers, there is a red flag here. You can say the offense, you can say this, you can say that injury, this, that, and that. We get this story with every wide receiver that looks like this. We get wide receivers that look like this. We also get wide receivers that look like this that hit sometimes. However, when you gather all these wide receivers, you put them in the box, there's only a few of them here and there, and they're sprinkled around. That being said, yards per team pass attempt blew up when he was 22 years old. He didn't really hit full stride until 2023 at 22 years old. Yards per team pass attempt, we were pushing 3 yards there. However, every other year, we were lacking there. But when we get into his ADOTs, looking at his average depth of target here, 13.9 in 2023, 14.1 on his career. I love that part for fantasy football because you see him operate in the slot a lot, but you're also seeing him get deep. That being said, for fantasy football purposes, we talk about this a lot in season. Guys with a deep ADOT means they got a lot of upside from week to week. He could be a guy that gets into his role, and it could be early in his career during his developmental period, that gives you some splash games due to him getting deep downfield, due to him getting deeper targets, because he is forecasting for that. Yards after the catch per reception. That's noted as a negative in some of the scouting reports. That is true. That is true. But when your ADOT's deeper, that means your yak is going to be a little bit lower. So that being said, you got to look at the tape on that one. But when you see the verified speed, I think you can catch some yak there off of that in the burst, especially with a 39-inch vertical. 14.1 average depth of target is a good thing to note here. That lets me know there's a lot of upside with this prospect. That lets me know that you can reel in some deep balls, see some deep targets, and at least get some splash performances. And then you look at his strengths. It's his footwork. It's how quick he is. He breaks off routes, creates separation. He can get open with that. And then he's got the 4.3 speed. 4.33 was listed and noted from Michigan with a 3.77 shuttle. On top of that, what was verified from high school, what we just read off, about a 39-inch vertical, we got a good athlete. That being said, when we look at his athleticism, he's going to go to the moon during the combine. You're going to hear more buzz about him then. Probably going to have more videos about that. As you know, if you follow this channel, I cover the combine extensively with multiple videos. You may want to hit the subscribe button now so we can get those live reactions. Navigates well in traffic, does well over the middle, good burst, tracks the ball well, good hands for his size. But he also is a smaller wide receiver, but all right for the game nowadays. Issues against press, I noticed that. A lot of other scouting reports noticed that. I don't think that's a big deal. You can have him play off ball. Yak, the stats there, that's very interesting there. 4.6 in 2023, 5.4 in his career. Run blocking, I don't think that's a big deal. That being said, when we look at him as a whole, as a prospect here, I think we do have some upside here with his ball skills over the middle, on top of his ability to run after the catch, be good in traffic for his size. On top of that, he can get downfield and make plays happen. He's got that speed. You could use him to take the top off the defense. You can also use him underneath. He's a very versatile player. I think he's going to be very good for an NFL team. Now we have to see if that can generate the results for fantasy. But again, I think he's got some upside there to where he can help his NFL team. And looking at the draft grades from NFL.com, they got him prospected out with a 6.26 grade, will eventually be average starter. That being said, that to me says that he's got a good chance of seeing the field, seeing snaps, seeing targets. Fantasy relevancy, that could mean some upside there considering what I look at his ADOT, his speed, his profile. Maybe a splash play, but could grow to something more if you're an average starter for fantasy football. To me, that means he's going to be on the field doing something. Will it be a top 12 wide receiver? I think the odds are heavily against that. I think looking at the grade here, I think a top 24 wide receiver, we might flirt with that a little bit off and on throughout his career, but I really think the draft capital is what's going to matter here. If he gets drafted in the top 60, I'm going to be very interested in him because the draft capital is really going to matter. If you get drafted in the top 60 or higher, the odds of you hitting just grows immensely. Past that point, the odds start to dip a lot. Right now in mock drafts, which honestly they're just mock drafts, but it is part of the market, so you can't totally ignore it, but you just can't put it in concrete and say we're good. He's being drafted around 74th overall. A little bit light, but it looks like the market's saying, hey, this is a day 2 prospect. This is a guy who's going to be drafted in round 2, round 3, somewhere around there. Goes to the right spot. If he goes to a team with a good quarterback that can move the football, his value is going to go up. When I look at him in Dynasty fantasy football terms for rookie drafts, going to be drafted somewhere in the 3rd round, 2nd round, somewhere around there. There's going to be a lot of wide receivers going in the 1st round. He could see a big rise in value if he goes to a team with a good offense, good quarterback, and you feel like he can cook there. His value is going to increase during the combine, especially if he can keep up with those numbers that we've seen in the past. With that being said, I think his value is going to increase throughout the offseason even more. I think we're going to hear more buzz about him, but there are some red flags you got to note. When we look at him in the 2nd round of rookie drafts, we're going to see the running backs come off the board pretty heavy there, and you're probably going to want to lean into that spot because the running back position, it's a turn and burn spot there, and you may want to pick one of those guys up. And when you're in the fire there, you're going to know that. You're going to feel that. You're going to see some of those running backs drafting like the 3rd or 4th round, and you're going to be looking at him, and you're really going to pick and choose, especially if you went wide receiver in the 1st, which is highly likely this year, or early 2nd, which is highly likely this year. ADP overall-wise, when we look at this wide receiver class, it's very good. That could dilute his value as well, even if he does get good draft cap, which means we could see him go in the early 3rd round, mid-3rd round. We got a lot to project out here. Overall, what we see out of this guy, good quicks, good speed, good hands, can create separation. The production profile is scary, though. It is a red flag. However, we know about Michigan. We know about Harbaugh. We know about these wide receivers. On top of that, though, you do have to tread lightly. You do. You can't ignore it. You just can't wash your hands and say it's good. Roman Wilson, though, is a ball player. He should do something at the NFL level. Let me know what you think about him in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.